I need to record lecture. There you go. Okay, so now it's recording. I'm going to reiterate what I said really quick. Yes? So this is the point slope formula. The formula right here has an x and those are your original x and y values. And the y1, x1 are the values you have in a point. Yeah? Now, back to the example. It gave you this point and that slope, and it's asking you to come up with the equation. In the previous section, what did we do? We said that y equals this form, and then we plugged in the m in here and tried to find what b was. Yes? This time, instead of doing all that work, I'm just going to plug the values I have in here and calculate what the formula is. Because the result of this formula is going to be the final equation you're looking for. So this is a more direct route. Make sense? So let's try it out. So we have y minus y1, which according to the point is 2, which equals m, which is 2, times x minus x1, which is negative 4, like that. Yeah. So since these two are both negative, that positive, that turns positive. So it's x plus 4. Multiplied by 2, so that 2 gets multiplied to both. So we have 2x plus 8 on this side. Over here we have y minus 2. So I'm going to grab the negative 2 and move it to that side. So it's y equals 2x plus 10. And that's my equation. Simple. We're done. Now notice that the number multiplied by x is what? 2. Like we originally wanted. Now, so if I ask you what is the slope, you'll say 2. And if I ask you what is the y-intercept value, yes, y-intercept is going to be 0, 10, because that's the number you have right here. Any questions so far? So good for everybody? All right, I'll take that as a yes. All right, awesome. Okay, so now let's do another example. How about this one? This is number 2 in the notes. The point the question gives you is 5, 0, which is what? What is this point to the function? Can you guys tell me? Hint. It looks like that one. This is the x-intercept. Yes, because we have an x value and the y is a 0. That means it intersects the x-axis. Yeah? So this is my x-intercept. All right? So they gave you the x-intercept and they gave you the slope being negative 2 over 3. All right? So negative 2/3. That's my slope. Now let's try and find the equation from the formula. So that is y minus y1, which equals m times x minus x1. Yes? So let's plug in y minus, what's my y1? In this case, it's 0. So, oops, 0. Now m is negative 2 over 3 times x minus 5. Yeah? On this side, it's just y. Nothing to worry about. Over here, we have x times negative 2 over 3. So it's negative 2 over 3x. And negative 2 over 3 times 5, which turns positive because they're both. Yes? Now 5 times 2 is 10. So it's 10 over 3. And that's my equation. Again, the slopes match. Can you tell me what my y-intercept is? What is this point? 0 and? 10 over 3, that's right. Are we seeing the pattern here? Okay. Tell you what. To give you guys some practice into this, here is number 3. Yeah? Now I need you guys to practice this formula as many times as possible because it's very, very useful to know, and it will help you out a lot in tests. Yeah? So for example, here we have the question this time gave you what? It gave me 2 points. So it says that the line passes through -1 and -4 and the point -2 and +1. Yes? So it gave me 2 points and asks you to find the formula. Sorry, the equation. Yes? So we're going to use the formula. But before, they give you a point and the slope. And this time, they gave you 2 points. So to use the formula, which is this, y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Oops. Yeah. For the x1, y1, you can just pick a point and plug in the values. But how do we find the slope? Does anybody have any ideas what the slope is in this case? What do you think? How do we find the slope? That's right. If you remember from the previous section, we learned how to calculate the slopes from 2 points. So can you guys do that for me? Which is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And we said that the bottom cannot be 0. Yes? So if I let this point be number 1 and that would be number 2. Tell me what my slope is. I'll give you a minute. You guys there? Not too quiet. Okay. Now, let's see. So, Kate's right. It's -5. But let's work it out together. Here we go. y2, what is my y2? So you go to point number 2 and you look for the y value, which is this one. Yes, so my y2 is 1 minus, what's y1? -4. Okay, now x2, what's my x2? You go to the second point and you go to the x value, which is -2, minus x1 is -1. Now we do the flip trick for both. Yes, and we have 1 plus 4, which is 5, over -2 plus +1, which is -1. So that means -5. Yes? So the slope is -5. Now that I know my slope, I can go back and pick one of these two, it doesn't matter which, and use the formula. So y minus, now which point should I choose? Is it the first one or the second one? Which would you prefer? either. Yeah, the first one. Okay, let's go with the first one. So we have 1 and 4, both negative. So it's y minus y1, which is negative 4. Yes, which equals m, which is negative 5, times x minus x1, which is negative 1, like that. Yes, so these two negatives, you can flip the signs like that. So it's y plus 4, negative 5, and over here you can flip those signs as well, and you get x plus 1. Did I explain the flip sign trick to you guys? Just want to make sure, because I know I did it in a few sections, but not all of them. Only one of the ones I did it in. Do you know why I'm doing this? Yes, no. I did not? Okay. All right. Should have mentioned it earlier. All right, here we go. So when it comes to subtraction and addition in any kind of equation you're going to do, so those operations tend to get confusing when you're dealing with a lot of subtractions. Like, for example, if you have 3 minus 2, that obviously equals 1, yes? Now, doing this doesn't change the result. 3 plus negative 2, the answer is still 1. Make sense? So you're not changing what's going to happen. But the benefit of this is when you have way too many negative signs. For example, 3 minus negative 2. What's the answer to this one? Without doing the flip. Now, I've seen people give me the answer be 2. I've seen them give me negative 1 for whatever reason. I've seen them give me positive 1. And I've seen them give me 5, which is the correct answer. If you flip this, flip that, you're simply adding two numbers. Make sense? And the number is 5. So the correct answer is 5. But doing this makes it so clear and easy to see. Does that make sense? Another reason, for example, if it was 3 minus 2, what's the answer in this case? The most common answer, which is kind of surprising, the most common answer is 1. People will subtract these two and give me negative 1. But the answer is actually negative 5. Turn this positive, turn that to a negative, and now you're adding two negatives. Negative 3 plus negative 2 is negative 5. Yes? And if I did this, what's the answer? See, it can get really confusing. This one, the answer is negative 1. To make it easy to see, flip this one, flip that one. See, now it's negative 3 plus 2, which is negative 1. Makes sense? So that trick simplifies things. Now, in order to do it correctly, you use this only when there's a subtraction between the two numbers, right? So only when this is subtraction, nothing else. So if it's an addition, it's already an addition. So turning it to subtraction actually makes it harder, so it defeats the purpose. Yeah. So it's a subtraction. Now, when I flip this to positive, you flip the sign of the number that follows it, no matter what it is. So if it's positive, you turn it negative. If it's negative, you turn it positive. Yes? So if it's like this, you turn this positive and that positive. Okay? You flip this one, you flip the following sign, no matter what it is. Did everybody get it? So this should help you not make simple mistakes on calculations. Okay. Now, let's go back to this. All right. Now, we are going to multiply the negative 5 in here to both terms. Yes. So we get negative 5x minus 5. Now we have a 4. So y plus 4 over here. I'm going to move the 4 to that side. So you get y equals negative 5x minus 5 minus 4. These two together is obviously going to be negative what? 9. Yes. So this is my equation. Now compare the slopes. Negative 5, negative 5. So what is my y-intercept? Can you guys tell me? 0 and What's the value I'm entering right here? It is -9. And if that's difficult for you to see, because the form is y equals mx plus b, yes? So since this is subtraction, that tells you that it's -9. Now, if it's difficult to spot, then you can simply do this, which is the trick I was showing you. So it's plus -9, which is the purpose. So this is -9. Yeah? Okay. How about number 4? I want to give you number 4 to do on your own for a second. So a point 2, 3 is located on the line of the function I want you to give me the equation of. Yes, so give me the equation of a line where this point is on that line. And the slope is undefined. So what is that equation? First person to give me the answer will get +1 on their next test. Let's make it first 3 people instead of 1. But yeah. What is the equation of this line? I already gave you a hint. It's 2. That's right. 2. Only Kate gets the point. All right. So why is it 2? Well, for one, I told you that this point is on that line, yes? So at least at one point on that line, x is going to be 2 and y is going to be 3. Yeah? And I told you that the slope is undefined. And as we discussed, the only time the slope is going to be undefined is if you get a vertical line. And when it comes to vertical lines, the equation is always going to be x equals a specific number. And the graph is going to look like this. Just one straight line, vertical, on the value of x equals 2. So x is always going to be 2. So slope being undefined tells you that the x value is just going to be 1 the entire time. And this point right here told you what the x value is. Yeah? So this is one of those questions that you can answer in less than 2 seconds. Yeah? No? Questions? Did everybody get that? We discussed this in the previous section. Yeah? All right. So that's awesome. Let me make a note about the +1 point. And don't worry, there's plenty of opportunities in this section. Okay. So let's move on. Now let's talk about the types of lines. Now this is the part that always trips me up, so bear with me. It's kind of a tongue twister for me. So we're going to talk about the slopes of parallel and perpendicular lines. Yeah? So when it comes to parallel lines, what happens when you compare two slopes? Yes? So for the parallel lines, if I give you two slopes, so that's m1 and m2, and I ask you to compare the two, they are going to be the same. Yes? So for parallel lines, the two slopes are going to be identical. Yeah? And that means that as far as the lines are concerned, they are never going to cross. Do you remember the example I showed you with the blue function and the red function, and we found the inequalities, how they intersected at one point and then switched, right? Well, if they never intersect, that means the slope is the same, and they will never meet at any point. So the lines will look kind of like this, approximately. Yes? Now, there's another situation where two lines will be parallel, but they will meet. Can you think of what that is? Any ideas on how that could happen? Because, I mean, if I start here, same rate, so slope doesn't change, that means they will never meet. They will never decrease enough or increase enough that they will crisscross, right? So how can these two lines meet? How can two lines that are parallel meet? Well, that happens when the two equations you're dealing with are the exact same line. Yes? So, because that's kind of what's happening here. These two are the same line. It's just one of them is one step above or one step below the other. Yeah? So it was shifted below, which is what we're going to talk about in the following section, the transformation of graphs. But these two are exactly the same line. It's just one step above or one step below. So if I give you one line literally on top of the other, so this is the first one, and then this is the second one, then obviously they meet infinitely many times. Does that make sense? But we usually don't discuss this case because it's way too simple. Yeah? So as far as parallel lines are concerned, they're never going to cross, and they have the exact same slope. Yes? Okay. So let's talk about perpendicular ones. Yeah, I'm not going to spell all this stuff with perp. All right, so for these two, the two slopes are going to do what? The slope of the first one is going to equal the negative reciprocal of the other one. Like that. Yes? So not only is it the inverse, it's a reciprocal, it's going to be negative. And obviously they're going to intersect. Now in order for it to be perpendicular, that means the two lines look like this. Yes? So that's not just any intersection, it's head on with a 90 angle, right? Kind of like your x and y axis. And they don't have to be like vertical and horizontal. They could be like this, for example, and this one's just perpendicular on it, right? Make sense? So as long as the angle is 90, they're perpendicular. And the difference in slope is what? M1 equals 1 over M2, and it's negative. Yes? So if this is M over 1, you're going to flip the fraction, flip the value, literally, and then flip the sign. The negative reciprocal. So far, so good? And I have the stuff written in your notes in case you want a reminder of it later on. So write it down. That's an important distinction. But I also have the equation right here as well. Okay, parallel and perpendicular. Now, let's play with that a little bit. Let's say this right here is the slope I want you to test out. It's negative 3 over 8. Yes, this is example number 5 in the notes, by the way. Yeah, negative 3 over 8. Now tell me what would be the slope for a line that is parallel. What would be the slope in this case? So this line is parallel to that one. The slope is going to be negative 3 over 8, exactly the same. Okay, what if it was perpendicular? What's the slope now? Remember, we flip the fraction and flip the sign. So it's going to be positive instead of negative, and it's going to be 8 over 3. Yeah, that's right. Okay, one more. How about number 6? The slope is 20. Yes? Okay. Now, parallel. What is the slope now? It's 20. Exactly the same. Nothing changes. What about the perpendicular one? It's going to be negative 1 over 20. Is everybody following this? Yeah? Okay. Last one. And if you have the notes printed, you already know what the question is. And here's the fun part. This one is also worth 1 extra point on your test. Tell me what the slope is for these two. Oops. Parallel and the perpendicular when the slope is 0. First one gets it. 0 and, oops, almost. So I guess, Sapphire, you can get a half point. Almost. So the first one is 0. We already got that one. What's the second one? This is a trick. It's what? Nope. Come on, what's this one? Whoever gets this one gets the point. Let's say that. What are we thinking? It's not 0. It's undefined, yes, because if you flip this, right, this right here is 0 over 1. The flip would be 1 over 0. If you have 0 on the bottom, what happens? This is undefined. Yeah? Because the number is 0, the flip did not work. A slope that is 0, that means this line is horizontal. So the perpendicular one to it would be literally vertical. Yes? That's why the slope is undefined. Okay. All right, so I'm going to give a point to both Sapphire and Kate for that one. Yeah? So let's do... All right. Now, let's take a look here. So now, number 8. Now, this is where the fun begins. We're going to use the perpendicular and parallel line rules to find the equation of new lines. No. Okay. So, let's see. Question says, give the equation of the line that passes through this point, which is -1 and 2. Yes. And is parallel to this line. Y equals, oops, sorry, no. I was writing something else. Y equals, it's not equals, it's still the wrong line. It's this one. Y minus 3x equals 4. There you go. Yeah? So I want the equation of a line that passes through this one and is parallel to that one. So first thing you need to do is try to find the slope, yes? Because that's what you need to use the formula. So here's my formula. Let's write it down real quick. Oops, it's minus x1. Now we need the slope in order to do this. And that's where you use this piece of information. Knowing that this line is parallel to that one, that means that the slope of this line is the slope of that one, correct? So let's look at this equation right here. Now I need this to be in slope-intercept form to be able to identify the slope quickly. So all I'm going to do is grab the -3x and move it to that side. So now it becomes y equals positive 3x plus 4. There, it's slope-intercept form. Now what is my slope? How do you get the 5? So you have 3x and you moved it and it turns positive. The 4 is still 4. Yeah? So it's 3x plus 4. Now, what is my slope? Ah, you were solving the entire equation. I see. We'll stay here, dude. Don't jump ahead. So, what's the slope? Come on, guys. Which part of this is m? It's 3. This right here is the number multiplied by x. Yeah? So this is your slope. So the slope is 3. Now we use this here. So we go y equals, y minus y1, which is this point right here. So 2 equals 3 times x minus -1. So turn this positive, turn that positive. Okay? Now I'm going to multiply the 3 in. So that gives you 3x plus 3. And here we have y minus 2 still. Okay? Now grab the -2 and move it to the opposite side and it turns positive. So that gives you y equals 3x plus 5, which is what Kate said initially. Yeah? Did everybody get this one? If you do, ask now. Don't let me move on and then realize you didn't understand it. Yeah? Don't hesitate. It's better to ask in class while the information is still fresh in your head. Take that as a no. All right, let's move on. So this is number 9. Here we go. So for this one, the question says, give the equation of a line that passes through this point, which is 6 and 8, yeah, and it's perpendicular this time. It's perpendicular to this equation. 2y plus 5x and equals 10. All right, so again, we need to figure out, oh, it did. Let me see. Yeah, all right. Yeah, it shows that I have a bad connection on my side too. Let me try maybe to turn it off and turn it back on. One sec. How's this? Do you think it's working now? And are we good? All right, cool. So question says, give me the equation of a line that passes through this point and is perpendicular to that equation. Well, the purpose of this piece of information is the same as the previous example. We need to find the slope. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is rewrite this in slope-intercept form, which should be easy. Just move the 5x to that side, and you get 2y equaling -5x plus 10. Yes? And then I'm going to divide by 2 everywhere. And the equation is -5/2x plus 5. Right? Now, what is my slope? It is 2/5. Now, why is it 2/5? It's because over here we had 5/2, right? So flip that, 2/5, and since now it's positive. All right? Now, since I have my slope, let's calculate what the equation is going to be. So m times x minus x1. All right? How about I let you guys do this and you tell me the final result. I'll give you 5 minutes. Yeah? Here you go. You're almost there. The final number is incorrect. Yeah, that's it. Good job. All right, so let's do it together. Ready? Here we go. This is your x and this is your y values. We're plugging them in here, and that's my slope. So y minus 8 equals 2 over 5 times x minus 6. Yes? Now we're multiplying this inside the pair of parentheses. So the entire thing goes in both. So you get 2 over 5 times x minus 12 over 5. Yes? 2 times 6, and the bottom stays the same. Okay. Here we have y minus 8 still. Now I'm going to move the negative 8 to that side, and it turns positive. So we have y equals 2 over 5x minus 12 over 5 plus 8. Now I want to turn this 8 into a fraction that resembles this because I want to add these two. Yes? So how do you rewrite 8 in the form of something over 5? Simple. This is 8 over 1, correct? Multiply by 5, top and bottom. So times 5 times 5. Yes? And it becomes 2 over 6 minus 12 over 5 plus, what's 8 times 5? It's 40 over 5. Now we do the addition between a negative 12 and a positive 40. So that gives you a positive 28. So y. 2 over 5x, that never changed. And you get positive 28 over 5, which is, if you calculate it, it's actually 5.6. All right? Everybody get that? Any questions? No? All good? Okay. Now let's do an application problem. And this is the last thing I'll do, swear. It's number 11. Okay? Let's do it together. So number 11 in the notes, well, to be able to solve it, I need you to see this part of the notes. So I'm just going to cover it up a little bit so you can see the explanation here. So we have what we call a linear cost function, c of x, yes? And this linear cost function has the exact same formula as mx plus b, right? This is the slope-intercept form. Now, this one has the m being the variable per cost, or the item, and b is the fixed cost, yes? So this is the number that doesn't change. And this is how much they change per item, therefore the slope, average rate of change, yes? Now here, linear revenue function, now this one's very simple. R of x is basically just P, which is the price, times x, which is the item. So just multiply the price by the number of items, and that should give you the revenue, how much you're going to earn. Now, profit is what? Is revenue minus the cost. So this is how much everything costs. This is how much you're going to make of the items you produced. And this is a subtraction. Because made, how much you make with the cost you originally paid. Yes? So to have profit, you need to subtract your revenue. You need to assess extra money. So this is what you paid, this is what you made, and this is the difference between the two. So far, so good. Okay. Let's see. Sorry I didn't stop sooner. The messages were delayed because of my internet connection. So, can you at least hear me fine? Like, is the voice too? Oh, it is. Okay. Let me turn that off and turn it back on. I hope that makes it. Actually, I think I'll just keep it off a little bit. It adds pressure on the connection, and turn it back on in a second or two. I have those. Okay, let's try again. I hope that helps. Here you go. Okay. So what's the last thing you guys heard me say? Did you hear the profit part? No? Okay. So I was saying this is the cost, that's the revenue, and this is the profit. So profit is what you made minus how much it cost you to make stuff you sold. Make sense? So this is the entire revenue, everything you, every cent of currency you made selling the product you have. This is how much it costs you to make that product, and the difference between two is going to be the extra money you came up with. Make sense? So this is the profit is revenue minus cost. Now for the revenue, calculation is really easy. It's P times X, P being the price. So it's the number of items, that's X, number of items you have, multiplied by the price. Yeah, so that's the revenue. The cost has a linear equation, if you see that, mx plus b, where X is your items, yeah? B is the fixed cost, something that you're gonna pay every time you do this, yeah? So it doesn't change, that's why you add it as it is. And M is basically the variable cost per item. Yeah, so M is the slope, is how much the cost per item changes every time you do it. Yeah, that's why it's an average rate of change, and that's why we're using slope. Okay, now based on these three, let's take a look at the question. So here's what the question says. Alina is starting a summer business, power washing homes and driveways and sidewalks. Yes. Now, she will charge $35 to pressure clean a driveway and the sidewalk in front of the house. Her startup costs include the initial purchase of the actual washer, which is 330. Yes, I was gonna say 3,300. I'm like, that's too expensive. But yeah. So the initial price of the item, or the power washer, is $330. Yes. Now there's a fee of $2 per house that she must pay to homeowners association. So here's another fee that you need to think about. Yes, $2 per house. That's a fixed fee. It's there all the time. Yeah, it depends on how many houses you do. Okay. So based on this, what is the linear cost function she's gonna have when she power washes homes? Okay, here we go. Now it is what? 2 times X plus the 330. Now why is it that way? Because X is the number of houses you're gonna wash. You don't know how many they are. Yes. $2 per house is the fee you're going to pay for the homeowners association. So it's $2 times whatever number of houses you have, because you don't know what it is again. Yes. And the 330 is the one fixed price that's never going to change, which is why you add it. That's the one-time price of the power washer. You pay it and you're done, right? So we add the 330 over here. Is everybody with me? Do you understand how we made this substitution? Yes, no. Am I lagging? Hope not. I'm lagging, yes. I should really stop asking contradicting questions. All right. Okay. So far so good. All right, awesome. Now let's look at the revenue. Now calculation of this is even easier. It's the price times the number of houses. So according to the question, the price was what? It's right here. It's 35, yes? So it's going to be 35 times x. Yeah, so that one's simple. Now, when you find the profit, what you need to do is subtract R and C, right? So you're going to subtract C, which is what she paid, from R, which is what she made, and that will be her profit. Make sense? So here we go. So that is 35x minus 2x plus 330, yes? So if you remove that over here, this subtraction gets distributed in, you know? So that becomes 35x minus 2x minus 330. So when you add these two, you get positive 33x minus 330. So that's your profit equation. This is the profit function. Now, how much will she profit? So notice the question said profit. How much will she profit if she washes 15 houses? Yes, so that means x is 15. So I'm going to plug in the 15 here, multiply it times the 33, and then subtract 330 from that. So here we go. She will make $165. That's right. There you go. Was that easy? Hard? So far so good? Yeah? All right, cool. One last part. How many homes must she wash to make 330? Right? So her profit needs to be 330. So again, this time, instead of giving you the x, I gave you the profit. So you plug it in here, and you say 330 equals 33x minus 330. So solving from this point is pretty easy. What you need to do is grab the negative 330, and move it to this side, and add the 2 up, which gives you 660, right? Equals 33x. And you divide by 33, you divide by 33, and she needs to wash 20 homes. That's right. Yeah? Any questions? Okay. Now, here's an extra credit opportunity for you guys if you want it. Question number 10 in the notes. Yeah, so the notes are on Blackboard. Just download it, open it, and look at number 10, which is the question right before this one. Yeah, the one we just did is number 11. Number 10, it has 2 parts, A and B. Yeah, solve it, and you get extra 2 points on your next test. Okay, question number 10. Let me write it down. Question 10 on 5 notes. Solve for +2 on exam 2. Yeah? So let me, before everybody leaves, take roll. Here we go. Awesome. And we are, do we email to you? Yes, you do. You email it to me. So email me the piece of paper with the answer on it. Make sure to write your name. That's why I actually included that question in the quiz, because students usually forget to write their names. So make sure to write your name on a visible spot in the paper so I'd know who you were. I mean, I could know who you are from the email, but just to make sure in case your email address is something unrecognizable, or if you don't use your SandJack email. Like I had a student once where her email was penny for your lobster pot. And I thought, hey, maybe her name is Penny. Nope, her name was Elizabeth. Nothing to do with it. So just please write your name on the piece of paper and save me the trouble. All right? All right, we're done, you guys. you are free to go.